Good day, everybody. It's the 31st of August, 2025. It's just about, whoa, almost got hit there. Almost 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock, I don't even know. Anyhow, I'm at a metro stop called Sportunia. I've never really been here. I think I might have been here one time, sometime in the past. And so it's a new experience for me, walking around here. I just thought I would visit. Looks kind of nice. Written in Belarusian here. I think I don't have the faintest idea on what that is. A lady with a nice dress here, statue. So let's go on. A lot of stuff, a lot of news today. It's absolutely incredible. You know, the big news, of course, is the massive Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting. A lot of news coming out from that. It's even just started today. It's supposed to go for a couple days, and absolutely amazing. So let's get into this sort of stuff. But let's first start off with Trump. He has not given up on his hope that Zelensky and Putin will meet. He didn't really give a timeline for that. Looks like a celebration over there. I just have to head over there. Look at this, a winged Shetland pony. I didn't know they could fly. Probably you pay a couple rubles and you can go around on a donkey. Let's just go and see what this celebration is about over here. Okay, anyway, he's not given up on this meeting, but he didn't say a time limit. And of course, a lot of things going on about that. Zelensky he's trying to figure out ways to coax the meeting, and so is, of course, the European Union. And as you all know, it's very elementary, my dear Watson, is that what he really wants to do is he wants to have it televised, Zelensky. And he wants to turn it into a shouting match, an argument, any way to try to put Putin down. And of course, there's no way at all that it could ever be constructive unless you do the pre-work, which is what Russia is actually demanding, I guess, for the most part, before they're going to show up to any kind of a meeting. And I was going to say, look at some of these, look at the uniforms of the police, at least for these people maybe guarding them sometimes. Very interesting. Like the nice colors, the black and the neon green. The young guy there. Oh, it looks like some sort of a kids thing here. Oh, it looks like it's something to do with the police. Cyber Lab. Wow. Well, you know, I was going to do the news. I probably still will end up doing the news, but you might want to see all of this as well. Some of you guys are interested in this, maybe even more so than the news, a lot of people. So, I don't know what this is. Probably can't do this. Copyright violation. Oh boy, better get out of here. I might end up getting myself in trouble. That's, I believe, based on Masha and the Bear. It is a world famous cartoon that the West tries to say it's like I don't know, some sort of a psyop from Russia or something like that. Has nothing to do with politics whatsoever in it. But they're, you know, they try to ban it. I think it is even banned in some places. But you know, the West, you know, they demonize Russia, demonize Belarus. Terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. Anyway, this looks like this will be a good video. You guys will probably like that girl up there on the stilts. We should go back and get her phone number. Anyhow, well, let's see. No, but Zelensky, he wants to turn this into some kind of a shouting match, you know, like it was kind of with Putin. He's got his objectives and his way to get what he wants, and he can't beat Russia, obviously, on the battlefield, so he wants to do it in other ways. And of course, the European Union is trying to help that. That's why they all headed over there in a big troop, you know, and they didn't get anywhere with Donald Trump. And it's just amazing. And you guys can all see how this is all going. Let me see some of these nice plants here. Look at this purple one here. I should go somewhere so I can concentrate on saying some news here. But anyway, that little children's thing over here, they have a lot of children holidays and, you know, things for children to do in Belarus. It's a very children-oriented country, unlike, well, I guess maybe in a different way when you have pedophiles and all that kind of stuff in the United States. So they have their own love of children, I guess, over there. So where do I go? No place. There's too many people. It's not that bad. I tell you what, when it's fewer people, it's much, much worse, because then they start staring at you and things. So this is actually very good when it's a lot of people like this, because a lot of them are just minding their own business. They got something else better to do. But let's keep going here. Anyway, so Trump, he might actually personally want to bring peace about. He's not really so much, let me surprise you, he's not that interested in stopping the killing. He's not that interested in that, because if he were, he would be trying to do something about what's going on in Gaza, and he's not doing anything. It's like, oh well, we'll let Bibi Netanyahu do whatever he wants to do. Well, why doesn't he let Putin do what he wants to do? You know? But anyhow, so most of those people that are dying down there are children, I guess. Oh, okay, then it's okay. It's okay when, oh, see, that's again, we're here to have a children's celebration here. That shows how much the West cares about their children, you know, like watching all of them in Palestine die. And anyway, that's a big, another thing about children. Okay. Bombings. So he is not very interested, Trump, about Bibi Netanyahu bombing all these countries all around him. Syria, Lebanon, Yemen. Of course, Yemen is the one that kind of started it with them. You know, Yemen does not really like the fact that Israel likes to kill innocent people. You know, these people have way too much morality, and that's one reason. I'll get to that too. Israel massively attacked. I even mentioned that already in the last video. They had already done that attack, and their aim was to kill a lot of top politicians, and they did. Of course, they killed a lot of people, and of course they killed the Prime Minister of Yemen, and they killed his entire cabinet. And I don't know, a few 100,000 people are on the streets protesting. They want retribution. So, like I said, I don't know how, it's very strange. How do these people get a population that has such high morals, and then you look what happens in Ukraine when they've been able to turn a lot of their population into banderites that want to kill people, you know, that have no morals. And, you know, they want to kill children and things. I mean, I'm not saying all the Ukrainians. It's certainly not the truth. but they have a lot of people that want to go and they want people to die. They want to kill people. There's a lot of them. Sad to say that. It's called Nazism, of course. You guys know. Well, here comes our flying donkey. Okay. A proud princess on a flying donkey. So, as most truth activists have said, and I've said it in different ways, I was saying in the beginning that Trump is success driven, but I guess it's the same thing to say he's ego driven. I would say he's actually more success driven, but everybody terms it as being ego driven. But success, he wants everybody to see, look at, I'm the greatest president that has ever lived, look at these hands, and I brought about peace. I need 20 Nobel Peace Prizes. I'm going to end the war in one day, and I mean 20, not 24 hours, 24 days, I mean 24 months. It's going to be 24 months pretty soon, I guess. Anyway, probably will go on for 24 months. Two sides are completely not anywhere close, and the only way that Trump can stop it is to stop giving weapons and money to Zelensky, and of course he's sending 3,350 extended range missiles, of course, and they're starting already, and maybe I think it's next week the delivery starts, and going to probably go for the next year as fast as the United States can produce them, over 3,500. Okay. So Donald Trump, he might personally want to bring peace. Maybe he does care a little bit about children and all that as well, but he also has to care about his political sponsors. He has to pay them back for sponsoring him. And of course, the chief sponsor, as I have said, and I am very positive, even though nobody else really talks about it, the chief sponsor was Israel. Israel more than anything. Israel buys a lot of people and a lot of things. As they have said, it's cheaper to buy a politician than it is to buy a tank. It makes you wonder how much, well, I think we can pay enough for 10 tanks for Donald Trump. That's only, what is that? That's maybe 20, 30 million, I don't know. We'll make sure he makes be the president, pay for all his rallies, all that kind of stuff. Okay, extended range bombs. I've talked about it last video. So yes. And as Lavrov has said, and I think Donald Trump even knows that he's no dummy, that Zelensky, Trump is not going to have this meeting. And Merz even mentioned that. A lot of people mentioned that. And of course, Trump wants prerequisites to be reached before he has the meeting, as I've already put out. And Zelensky has rejected all of them. So Zelensky he thinks he's going to be victorious, like he thinks he can use the media to be victorious over Russia, I guess is what this whole idea is. Yes. And of course, there's puppet masters. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if these people pony up the billions and billions. They've already ponied up many billions of dollars to Zelensky, but I wonder how long that's going to keep going. And I don't know. Trump, as long as he's got these extended range, I mean, it's obvious. Donald Trump wants to keep the war going as well. He wants to get a peace prize, and he wants to keep the war going because his sponsors want to keep the war going. So he's kind of in a, I don't know, is that a catch-22, or maybe he wants to have his cake and eat it too? I don't know. And Macron, what did Macron say yesterday? The president of France, the Français. He said if Putin does not rush, basically, he said by Monday, he said, to meet with Zelensky by Monday, it is basically, he said, it's evidence that Putin has been, Trump has been played. He's been tricked by Putin. Oh yeah, really? Even though, it's been Putin that's been saying the same thing over and over again for years. Oh, but I guess he's playing a game. I don't know. What is it? Is Putin, he's supposed to be there in China. So he's in China right now. Tomorrow's Monday. Tomorrow, it's also the SCO meeting. And a day or two after that, it is the victory parade in China. So, and Putin is there for 4 days, his longest visit actually to China. And I guess he's supposed to cut it short to rush to get a shouting match with Zelensky so that Zelensky can look like like some big shot in front of the media, you know. And it's not that Putin would lose, but it's nothing will be accomplished. Absolutely nothing will be accomplished. You know, Putin can engineer it so he will win. He will win in the logic game, but nothing will be accomplished because they're not going to sign anything. You know, Zelensky wants what Zelensky wants and Zelensky's sponsors. The truth is, Ukraine is not yet ready for any kind of a solution. Zelensky cares nothing about the country. Zelensky cares about Zelensky, his houses, his businesses, his casinos, his wineries, his mining operations, all of his luxury villas all over the world. And he doesn't want to die. So he's got to keep the war going to please his British masters that act as his bodyguards around him. Of course, they have those people. And there's, of course, a lot of the Nazis. And they don't want to give up either. They want their defeat of Russia. And, of course, I don't know. They'd rather die than lose. So it's going to be a combination of both. Very interesting time. I don't know. There won't be any Ukraine left before these people are going to be ready to sign anything, I fear. Yes, and what else? So these people, they want a strategic defeat of Russia. Marco Rubio, he even admitted this. They want this strategic defeat. To a certain extent, the U.S. is actually stepping back from this war. Of course, they've stopped a lot of things, and they don't want to get too heavily involved. And of course, Donald Trump, he found himself something very amazing where he can send the weapons, and Europe will pay for them. So it's not going to be freebies anymore, and Europe will pay. It doesn't have to be Ukraine, because do you think Ukraine, after they've been completely defeated, do you think they're going to have any money to pay back anybody at the end of all this? And Europe, I don't know, Europe is giving this a lot as away as loans. Do you think they're going to get their money back? I don't think so. Soros, I don't know, did he bow out on that already? I don't know. Who else is involved in this? Okay, but anyway, these people, I don't know, maybe they have their, because, you know, I'll tell you what, Europe doesn't, these leaders don't pay the money. They steal it from their taxpayers, so they don't really care. You know, they just want to be big heroes in the Hate Russia Club. And the newest, biggest, well, not the biggest, but one of the newest lady members, like Ursula von der Leyen, Kaja Kallas, Annalena Baerbock, is going to be Mia Sandow, as you know, of Moldova. So the Coalition of the Willing is their name for the Hate Russia Club, I guess. But of course, you know what this whole deal is. They pinned their hopes. They're going to keep this going, and they want to keep it going, limping along as possible until after 2028, after the presidential election in the United States, in the mere hopes that they're going to get some president in there that is going to be like Joe Biden and step up and put hundreds of billions again into this. And they think that they're eventually going to defeat Russia. Russia has adapted to a wartime economy, and they can probably keep this up for a long, long time. They can keep this up maybe for 50 or 100 years if they absolutely have to. But, you know, they're waiting for, I guess, you know, the Europeans and whoever is going to be the neocon president or whoever takes over, you know, they're going to be opportunists. They're going to wait for some sort of opportunity where they can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, I suppose. Yes. So anyway, the war is supposed to start anyway. Because they know that Trump is not going to play along so much, so they put this date at 2029 when they believe they will be able to, at that time, and hopefully they don't do this too early. They want to provoke Russia into doing something. You know, they'll cut off Russia's shipping, or, you know, they'll bomb Kaliningrad or something with some terrorists and make it look like somebody else did it. You know, and they want this to kick off in 2029. You know, Russia will maybe be able to resist until probably 2030 if things go the way things happened to a certain extent in the Donbass area, because Russia held out for 8 years as the West was bombing and killing Russian peoples in the Donbass area. For 8 years, I think, what was it, 14,000 people they killed. Wow. I don't know if Russia's going to go along with this for 8 years, that's for sure, especially if they're going to be bombing, you know, native long-term Russian territory such as Kaliningrad. Wow. So and I think the U.S., as you all know, what Cavoli or whoever the general is, are trying to figure out ways on how they can invade and take Kaliningrad, formerly known as Königsberg, East Prussia. First, that was my area of study, based a lot on that. The Nordmark before that time. Mark Brandenburg later on. Okay, but anyway, these people in the Hate Russia Club, they know they need the... Whoa. They know that they need U.S. involvement. There's no way. That's why they're going to postpone this till 2029 in their hopes to get the U.S. involved. They've even said it. They've come right out and said it. They couldn't possibly win. And I'll tell you what, even analytics done in the United States say they can't even beat Russia in Russia's backyard. Good luck on that one. And Russia's getting stronger and stronger and more advanced all the time. Okay. But anyway, these people, they don't want to look at the realities on the ground. And they're hoping still for some kind of surrender, I guess. Talked about already this face-to-face with Zelensky to turn it into a media spectacle, shouting match if possible. Propaganda. But anyway, a lot of the fake news, a lot of people are already convinced by the fake news all these years. Russia, Putin got up one morning, he put his slippers on and said, I'm going to invade Ukraine, you know? Yes. Let's see. Well, I think I talked a lot about this already. Yeah, but the snowman, Zelensky, I don't know, I guess he's happy at the moment anyway. He's living a luxurious life, a very luxurious life, you know, and he goes to his fitness studio. He's got plenty of time. He can jump on a plane at any time whatsoever. Just like, very strange, just like all these European leaders without any notice. They all jumped on airplanes and went to Washington, D.C. You know, no scheduling complications or nothing. They were just there. Like Zelensky, he can always be in the general vicinity whenever there's some sort of a deal where he wants to party crash into it. You know, maybe bring some snow with him. 7 dwarfs or whatever. Yeah. Yes, so he should just concentrate on his white powder and his fitness studio in the basement down there, and going on his frequent trips, you know, to buy properties and beg for money wherever he goes, and supplying Keir Starmer with his bum boys, I guess, not but bum boys, yeah, and planning attacks on Russian civilians. That's what he spends his time with right now. Then you have this EU commissioner, Ursula von der Leyen, pirate. She's calling Putin a predator. Is that why she is sending people to sabotage elections in Georgia, in Serbia, in Moldova, and everywhere else? Isn't that kind of predatory? But Putin is the predator, I guess. Because of, wait a minute, he didn't sabotage the elections. He didn't. Trump was not a Putin agent. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard was. This stuff is just laughable. Anyway, she sends people to Hungary as well. Hungary, Georgia, Serbia, Slovakia, and much, much more to be continued. Wow. Oh, and she also said Putin is weaponizing migrants. I'm wondering, is he strapping bombs to them? Weaponizing migrants or migration. So Putin is sending them out. Does Putin go and get these planes and the train? Wait, what is Soros? Soros is an enemy of Putin, and Putin's enemy of Soros. But Soros is the guy that's paying for all of these things. People always looking at me. So wait a minute, they're enemies, but yet they work together, I guess, on that one. I guess according to Ursula von der Leyen. Oh, no. Soros has nothing to do with it, I guess she'd probably say. Wow. And speaking of weapons, Trump has now sent 10 ships. There are 10 ships off the waters of Venezuela, and 1 submarine, nuclear-powered submarine monster. 4,500 troops. I thought it was 4,500. And of course, you know, a lot of these, I believe, are troops that just man the boats and the missiles and stuff that they're going to be maybe raining on top of Venezuela. And Venezuela, you know, they're getting ready for guerrilla warfare in the jungles and things like that. But you know, the United States is going to be bombing the cities, and I was, like I said, I used to live in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they have a United States Coast Guard base on one of the more southern islands of the place. You know, thousands and thousands of miles away from the United States. So it's Coast Guard, you're guarding the coast of the United States. I mean, that's quite a distance to take those boats over a week to get to the United States going full speed. You know, but anyway, there's a drone bases there. Drones. Wait a minute. So why would they have drones off an island close to Venezuela? Why would the United States want drones? And they've had them there ever since the days of Trump. This Coast Guard base. Anyway, as a matter of fact, you know what's really strange is they have Donald Trump International, well, it's not called that anymore. I think Donald Trump took his name from it. Donald Trump Casino, Donald Trump International Golf Course, when I was there. You know, and Trump made his, you know, things there. He made his trips to Canouan Island. Small, it's called Canouan. Belongs to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You can look that up and you can find out there's a base there and a casino. I don't know if it's called Trump Casino still. Look it up. That's a fact you guys didn't know, isn't it now? Okay. But anyway, there's still plenty of time to send more troops there. I don't know, where does the United States have the nearest troops? Maybe is it Puerto Rico or... there's a lot of, I guess, what is there? Over 600 bases in Central America? Maybe Panama and all kinds of places. They can get troops there lickety-split, you know, if they want any kind of a ground invasion. So that's why there's not that many troops, landing troops on these ships. They say 4,000 Marines. Maybe there are 3,000 something that are combat ready to mix in with the other combat ready troops that the United States has in the area, if they have a need for that. Anyway, it could go into a lot of ways. Larry Johnson could talk about, you know, that the CIA and the United States has invasion plans for nearly every country on planet Earth. So they already know what they're going to do, where they're going to land, and how they're going to do it. So it's a lot of times these things are out of date, but I guess in Venezuela they're probably pretty much up to date. So they have been for years. So what else we have here? Landing troops. Indonesia. There seems to be a color revolution going on there, and as you can look at the main possibilities, the MI6, the Mossad, and the CIA, obviously they're involved in that. Indonesia was leaning very, very, very heavily towards China. Very, very heavily. Very good friendship there. And it's the most heavily populated Muslim country on planet Earth. So it's really strange, and they have very good production there. And they are advancing very, very much. They're developing. And why would the United States want to be involved in that? Oh, I guess I just told you why, isn't it? Anyway, the leader was on his way to China, and I don't know if he had actually gone there, but he is obviously had to turn back because of all of the protests, burning of government buildings all over the place. You know, people getting paid pretty well by, you know, some agents in the West. But, you know, strangely enough, the United States is closing down USAID. Makes you wonder if they're coming up with a different agency instead. You know, and Soros used USAID, you know, to get lots of his money to, you know, push migration all over, flood them into Europe and the United States. And, you know, and other nice goodies, the overthrow of a government in a country called Ukraine. He used USAID very much, and also Belarus. He tried very much using USAID and Radio Free Europe. And, you know, this is, of course, CIA as well, and all of these things to overthrow the government of Belarus. And a number of times, you know, the last time, what was it, 2022, when I was here, as a matter of fact. You know, they were, actually, that was just a plot that was uncovered. I guess the major thing was in 2020 when they really were going, they put a lot of money and a lot of time into that, lots of resources into trying to overthrow the government of Belarus back in 2020. Really, really big time. But anyway, the last one, like I said, was it 2022, I guess. Yeah. And Victoria Nuland said they're going to continue when she was, you know, just in what 2023, that they're going to continue trying to overthrow the government of Belarus, and you know, they're pretty much cemented in with Russia pretty well. So I don't know if that's going to happen. And they're starting to look at Belarus and say, well, we've tried so many times, or we haven't been successful, so maybe we ought to give it up. that guy's doing here? Listening in, I suppose. President of Indonesia is Prabowo Subianto. I don't know. Suharto is the only one I remember from the old days. And people are getting killed there. There was just the other day 3 people got killed, other people, but just a huge amount of destruction. That kind of lets you know that it is a color revolution. You know, how things are actually progressing. And as you also noticed, you know, when you saw what's going on in Serbia lately, is they've noticed that anything that's peaceful without a lot of destruction does not work. So now they're going into torching buildings, trashing, far more so than they ever did before. So they're getting very destructive, a lot of these US and EU color revolutions. Wow. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump personally has anything to do with it, but of course there's a lot of these agencies. Even Tulsi Gabbard, she's not probably even involved, even though she's National Security Advisor. And even Radcliffe, she's in charge of the CIA. There are rogue elements. Absolutely incredible. Wonder if they're going to catch them. And anyway, they have people all over. Thousands and thousands of people in the CIA. Trust me. People are getting killed, as I said, and it reminds you of what happened in Ukraine with Yanukovych, the Cookie Monster, Victoria Nuland, and then they put in a U.S. puppet, Petro Poroshenko, and everybody said at that time the leader of Ukraine was Joe Biden, who was vice president under Obama, and it's absolutely true. He was the one, and he even admitted it. He said it to, what's that agency? Anyway, he's admitted that he basically runs Ukraine back then. Wow. Okay, and Lukashenko, when he arrived, the president of this country, Belarus, when he arrived in China, it was not an interview. He was sitting at the table amongst the other leaders and things like that. And he was very, very shocked because he had been to that same area in China less than 6 months ago. And he is talking about how amazing it is, how much advanced the entire city has become in just 6 months. China is absolutely amazing, people. And I have even more to say about that too. And I'll get to that about the Pashinyan from Armenia. But that's at the very end of this one. But anyway, he is amazed. And he said China is the future, Lukashenko. And I've been saying that even to be honest, very honest with you, I said that even back in the early 1980s, because I started seeing that all this stuff I remember what happened with Japan, all this stuff made in Japan, we used to crappy quality, and then Japan became a huge powerhouse, and then all this stuff in China, and now China, the success of China, when you compare it to what the success of Japan was back in the 70s, Japan is dwarfed. China is they are still going to be going. They've probably only reached maybe 70% of their potential. And the United States basically is standing still. The United States is virtually not going anywhere. I know what was the last biggest accomplishment in engineering? What was the Golden Gate Bridge? When was that? I don't know. Hoover Dam? What have they done since then? China is doing that stuff in multiples all over the world. It's incredible. The highest, biggest bridge in the world, and of course the United States is not going to draw your attention to any of these major feats of China and the roads and things. Oh man, you have to look on TikTok and things and find out some of the amazing feats of engineering accomplished by China. And as a matter of fact, they are building a lot of things here in Belarus. They just built a big new stadium. They built a big swimming hall, a big Olympic swimming hall. I don't know if I've ever shown those in videos. I should try to remember that whenever I get around those areas, though. So maybe I should go very soon. Anyway. Okay. Lukashenko also said any nation had better think twice before they're going to go to war against China. Look at what they're doing with drones. Thousands of drones. They can swarm drones. All of them, it's just absolutely incredible. Every drone is doing something different in the sky. They can send 1,000 drones to attack the military of the United States anywhere in the world. And I'll tell you what, I don't even want to think about it. and it's beyond your imagination. So let's not even talk about it here. You can't even think about it. You can't talk about it. Anything that the US does, that China can do far better. And if you haven't seen that already, you know, America's the greatest country in the world. They had the strongest economy in all of world history. Yeah, right. Okay, in Gaza, Israel continues to bomb and kill people, displacing people, bombing their homes. You know, those that live and they are living in tents somewhere, they turn around and they bomb the tents. They make them go from one place to the next. Nomadic people within the bombed out areas of Gaza. And it's a really, really sad thing, and people are starving and you can't get water. A lot of people don't get any water. They're dying of dehydration, and even Greta Thunberg came out and said something. What was it, just today, or was it yesterday? I don't know. It's so many people, and it's Israel says, oh no, it's all lies. Oh, it's Hamas, and then they say, oh, then Hamas is doing it. You know, that's terrible. Displaced people, and it looks like it's going to go for years and years. The United States, Donald Trump does not lift a finger. He doesn't say one word, nothing. He just allows this all to happen. But he wants to stop the killing. But not in Gaza, not in Lebanon, not in Yemen, not in any of those countries. And it certainly is a man called Netanyahu. This guy is probably far worse than Adolf Hitler ever dreamed of being. As a matter of fact, that's probably an undeniable fact, that you're not allowed to talk about it because you're supposed to talk about Hitler and Putin the predator. It's just terrible. The misinformation, the fake news, I don't know. Anyway. But anyway, I guess it's what Israel really wants to do. But as a matter of fact, they don't even let those people leave if they want to leave. They don't let them leave Gaza. It's like they said, it's a big open air prison. And they want their lives to be so miserable that these people, I guess they want them to beg to leave. You know, and what was it? If they get all the hostages back and surrender or something like that from Hamas, then they said they will maybe let some people from Gaza leave instead of dying of starvation and getting bombs dropped on them, as we all watch and can't do anything about it. And if you protest about it in any countries, Germany particularly, you get beaten to a pulp. You get your head busted open by the police in Germany and Washington, D.C. What a fair and great world it is. I tell you what, I'm so thankful to live in Belarus. I tell you people, you know, we have a leader, and the people of Belarus, a lot of them don't even know. It's incredible. They don't even know how lucky they are. We're sitting here. We got vultures all over around us. We got Lithuania, you know, not Estonia. We don't have a border with them. We got, you know, and Ursula von der Leyen. She's making her appearances right now to the front lines. These countries that border Belarus, Poland. She's in Poland, I guess, today. She was in Latvia, Lithuania, you know, checking things out before they can start this war. And, you know, and of course, obviously, it has to go through Belarus. And we're living in peace here. You know, and these people should be very grateful here in Belarus. You know, there's even some black people right there. You know, there are lots of Chinese. It probably, as a matter of fact, there's a Chinese person right there walking with a lady, and another Chinese guy behind. I mean, oh, but they hate foreigners and they're weaponizing. Anyway. But anyway, let me keep on going here. I said in the last video, let's see. I mentioned the former CEO of USAID, Samantha Powers, and you know how Volvon and Lexus tricked her into saying how we're overthrowing countries and sending huge amounts of money to Moldova to overthrow the government there, and so on and so forth. And of course, now there was a video of Marco Rubio and Donald Trump, and wow, pretty girl there, and how they were very happy to this is really some helping here. They probably know them. Anyway, it's about about they're closing down. I already mentioned that about the pretty young girl here. Too young, way too young. But anyway, I'm just looking for all of you guys out there. As a matter of fact, I just there was a video. I didn't watch it, but it was some guy broadcasting, making a blogger, I guess, from Belarus, and saying, "Don't watch this video if you're married." And I guess it was all about all the beautiful girls all over running around in Belarus. So anyhow, yes, they know that guy. That guy didn't look like he knew them. Anyway, so Samantha Powers, CIA, Soros organization. Of course, they were active here in Belarus too. I also mentioned in that video Israel's bombing, of course, of Yemen, the capital, on the 28th. At that time, you know, all I mentioned was that they were trying to bomb the top leadership of Yemen, and it looks like they were very successful in doing it. Of course, after a day, it all came out. Let's see. And they killed the prime minister, the prime minister of, look, some athletic people there, the prime minister of Yemen and his entire cabinet. They killed them all. Wow, and the people are pissed off. Thousands and thousands of them. As a matter of fact, hundreds of thousands are on the streets, and they want an answer. They want Israel to pay for this. And Israel says they're only beginning. This is from Foreign Minister or Defense Minister Katz, and he said they're calling this the strike of the firstborn. And of course, they're probably trying to find something religious and some Jewish myths or things in their Bible or whatever. I don't know. I think it's probably that. Isn't it that night when they went around and killing a whole bunch of children, the firstborn? I think that's probably what that is referring to. So they're going to probably try to kill a lot of people in Yemen, it looks like. Wow. And so I guess he's kind of the spiritual leader of Yemen, al-Houthi. He has appointed apparently a new prime minister, an interim prime minister, maybe until they can do votes. Wow. Anyway, the marches of these hundreds of thousands of people, that was in Sana'a, in the capital of Yemen. And it looks like, I don't know. But I tell you what, I don't think they have the resources to, you know, these people have only the mental, they have the moral resources, and that's about it. And I don't know if they're getting that much or anything at all from Iran in the first place. But it looks like there's probably something going to happen to Israel at some point in time, you know, from retribution. You guys want to see that young lady there? It's probably, what is it? What do they call him? What's this guy's name? Not Weinstein. Epstein age. That young girl there. So Israel, let's see, what was it? So temporary prime minister. Oh, meanwhile, the prime minister of Canada, he's extended his Operation Reassurance to Ukraine, which sends money and weapons to Ukraine, and he's extended it another 3 years, and for democracy for a country that is not a democracy, that has a for democracy in Ukraine, instead of Putin's evil darkness, I guess he was calling it. I don't know. They're all looking at me strangely enough. Anyway, maybe they want to invite me to the children's celebration over there. Okay, as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit is now ongoing in China, it looks like in spite of Trump's tariffs, things are looking really, really, really good for a lot of these countries, such as we already talked about last video. We talked about India, and they've found, for the most part, replacements. And pretty soon they're not going to miss any business with the United States at all anywhere. You know, Donald Trump, I guess he's playing his card a little bit, he doesn't have as many cards as he says he does. He's believing that every country on planet Earth, and of course to a small extent there is a lot of truth to that, but it's not as true as it used to be maybe back 3 decades ago, when everybody wanted to sell to the United States. But the world has diversified, as you see, as it is in Belarus and things, and people are making things all over the world, and production not a lot of things are being made in the United States anymore. And one of the things that I've noticed when I was working, and catch this, this is going to be something that'll be very interesting to you. When I was doing coffee, and I would blend coffee, so I would import coffee from Brazil, but it wouldn't come from Brazil. How does that work? And some of the equipment, such as maybe the weed whackers and things like that. Wait a minute, it probably was not even made in the United States. I don't know, maybe that one was. But some things were made in the United States, but that coffee is from Brazil. I was buying Brazilian coffee. And it goes to the United States. It goes from Brazil, it passes by the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it goes to the United States, and then maybe it sits there, and then I have to pay a premium on it because it's coming from the United States back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I did get some from other countries as well, but they didn't pass us. I think it was it some from Guatemala. I believe I was using some Guatemalan coffee. But all of this coffee, for the most part, has to go to the United States. And I even ordered some glasses, some eyeglasses once from China. And what else? And some plastic teeth. I'm a dental technician as well, so get plastic teeth. And they can send it through Venezuela. And they were at some point in time. Sometimes it were, but the post is a little bit slower through there. It takes a lot longer. I got some eyeglasses, and it took like a month and a half or something to get it from China through Venezuela. And things you get through the United States maybe takes some days to get to the United States, and then it takes a week to get. So it takes a couple of weeks. And obviously the United States makes money on all of this. It goes to the ports there. And one strange thing is I ordered some plastic teeth because I make dentures. And the lady from China, she wrote teeth. And the entire container was held up before they could send it to me from these plastic teeth, is because if they didn't say plastic teeth, they said teeth. And the United States had to go back in and take all the stuff out of the container, a big container, and look into my boxes and to find out that it was plastic teeth and it wasn't real teeth. Can you imagine that? So luckily I don't think I had to pay extra. I think I had to pay something at some point, and I can't remember. And it was similar things. It's just like I was getting packaging bags for coffee from India. Because they were cheaper, they were better quality. Cheaper and better quality even than those that you get that are made in the United States and even in China. So I would get them from India, and lo and behold, it has to go to the United States, and then it has to, ping, 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 jump from one island to the next, of course, because you can track this stuff. It goes to Antigua, and it goes to this island, it goes to that island, before it gets to St. Vincent. Not that I pay extra for it, but anyway, that was how that worked out. But it goes to the U.S. And I've even had things, and I had things from Florida. I ordered things from Florida. Plants. I ordered some avocado trees and mango trees. They had certain varieties in Florida. And from Florida, it has to go to, let me see, which country was it? To Missouri. I had to fly it up to Missouri first, and then go ping, ping, ping again down through all the islands in the Caribbean before it got to me. And lo and behold, I guess, some of them did not do very well, and a few of the trees died and things like that. But anyway, that's how that is. That's how the world works. Wow. Anyway, logistics. Okay, I already talked about Operation Reassurance. And let's talk about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting now, the biggest one in history, going on in China, started today. And in spite of all of Donald Trump's tariffs and things like that, these countries are surging. So good luck, Donald Trump. It's not quite working as well as you said, even though it is hurting these countries a little bit. Brazil is not there, I guess they're not part of that, but you never know in the near future. And this is very much, I can tell you what, it's bigger than the BRICS. It's bigger than BRICS. And there's huge meetings, and there's massive amounts of organizations. This is giant. This is more giant than the BRICS summits. If you talk about the G20 or something, this is far, far bigger than the G20 meetings. This is a meeting like you would not believe. And this is done with honest countries. And this is done with honest trade, and there's no cheating. It's not these guys that think they're big shots like France and Great Britain, Germany, the United States. This is really, really a meeting. This, and you should look it up. Look up some news for that. I'll try to give you more news as time goes by. Maybe by tomorrow. Things are going on today. While I'm doing this right now, there are big meetings going on. So you might be able to find some on different channels, more about these meetings. Look it up. Try to find some truth activists on YouTube to tell you about this kind of stuff. So, Modi is there, Lukashenko, Erdogan, many more. Pezeshkian of Iran is there as well. And I'm going to get to Armenia in a minute here. I already told you I would. But anyway, these countries, they represent over half of the world's population and a huge portion, at least 25% of the world's GDP, and growing, and the other ones are shrinking. Wow. At least 25 nations leaders will attend. Putin will be there for 4 days, and he'll be at the spectacular Victory Day parade in China. Wow. So I think, Kim Jong-un is not there for the SCO meeting, but he's going to be there for this other thing. Big days, international big days. You cannot, in other words, you can't say something like, China is isolated. You can't say that on this one. This is huge. I'll tell you what, in the United States, no meeting ever gets as big as this one that is going on in China in these next days, today and the next days. It's incredible. And the trade numbers between the USA and China are shrinking. As a matter of fact, as you can remember back in the COVID days when people were locked up, China and the United States, and there was hardly any trade going on. Well, I'll tell you what, the trade between the United States and probably English-speaking people, trade between the United States and China is at its lowest point. Lowest point since 2006, which includes the 2019, 20, and 21 COVID days when everybody was locked up and things were not moving. Wow, it is worse than that time. I don't even remember what was going on in 2026, but you all heard that. Looks like I got everybody gone. I cleared out the public, and even this old lady is left right over here. So, okay, I'm on my own here, people. I can do what I want to here. The cat's away. Okay, let's see. The trade numbers. Anyway, they didn't have, there were billions in this. It didn't mean anything to me. Billions and billions and billions, and of course it's way down. Wow. Russia and China have increased their energy trade drastically. Even lately, they've been increasing it. So much for the tariffs and you are buying oil from Russia and we're going to punish you. It's probably increasing with India as well. But I guess, as I said in the last video, it turns out a lot of people are saying, and this actually turns out, maybe it is actually true, that what it's doing is they're trying to cut off the LNG going from India and oil and going to the EU, and it's Trump's, thing. You would think that the EU would be highly pissed off. Makes you really wonder, well, where? So you have to ask this question, since if this does really happen, where is the EU going to get their gas and oil? And Zelensky keeps bombing the pipeline, the Southern Druzhba pipeline. It's going to be winter very soon, and you need energy to heat things up. You've got to ask yourself these questions. They had this new pipeline that now is going from Norway to Poland, and that opened up, strangely enough, like the day after they blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. And of course, they have Groningen in northern Holland, but that's only enough oil and for Netherlands, not even enough, and I think they even need more. And the Turk Stream, of course, that's coming in. But then maybe that's one reason why they got to destroy the government and take over Serbia as fast as possible. Even though Serbia, the present government, is not hindering any oil that is coming from the Turk Stream from the south, maybe even through Bulgaria and all that. I mean, it's really interesting. So you got to keep your eye on what's going on with the logistics in oil and natural gas and all that kind of stuff that's going to be going into Europe, because, as I said, winter is coming. That's the Starks from Game of Thrones. And I should I told you guys I was going to go to Volkovisk, and their symbol is the wolf. You know, fascinating town, and I hadn't gotten there. I really do I should try to get there. It's quite a distance. I was living in Baranovichi at that time when I went. You can look at some of my other videos and, you know, and watch those. Very interesting things. Very interesting place. Very, 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 very much. And that's where the general had his headquarters that defeated Napoleon in those days. Anyway, now you want to go back and look at some of my old videos. Okay, so let's see. But anyway, Russia, I think they probably replaced all of this money and exports of natural gas, probably, you know, in this form of LNG that they lost when the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. And there's a big project going on, and it is running right now. It is with China in the Arctic for LNG between Russia and China. So that is going as we speak. This is incredible stuff. And there is this other pipeline. It is called the Power of Siberia that runs between Russia and China. And it is going, and it's already delivered, what is it, over 100 billion cubic meters of gas since 2019 when it opened up. Well, there's a new kid on the block coming. It's coming to a theater near you. It's another pipeline, and it's set to open up in 2027. I think it's already under planning and construction between Russia and China. And temporarily what this, the name of this is going to be is the Far Eastern Route. And that's going to be interesting as well. So this is just increasing. This is just increasing. This stuff is going, wow. This economic development. And the United States, the more which they do, they weaponize the dollar, they weaponize trade. Donald Trump, I think he's making a mistake. Donald Trump, I tell you what, if you want my advice, even though he's going to have a huge amount of opposition, he should join the multipolar world as quickly as he can. And you never know, maybe Donald Trump might actually want to. I don't know. He's maybe not allowed to say it. It's going to be interesting times. And as a matter of fact, the leader of China just said that today. He just said this is a transition period. And everybody's talking about that. You should see some of these leaders when they're sitting at the table, and everybody, it's like they have this look on their face, and there is deals being made today and tomorrow. There's going to be deals and deals and deals. This is an incredible time right now, this SCO meeting. It's really, really incredible. I keep saying that. You have to look for yourself. So, since Trump has cracked down on the crime, at least he's successful on this one here, in Washington, D.C., the violent crime is down 45%, carjacking is down 87%. So huge amounts of reductions in crime in Washington, D.C. I'll tell you what, if you really want to talk to Putin and you talk to him, you know, candidly, he's going to say he feels sorry for Donald Trump. Lukashenko feels sorry for Donald Trump. Xi feels sorry for Donald Trump, because you got all these opposition forces fighting against all of this stuff in the United States, and it's a powerful country, and it still is, but it is going down. It is going down. It is the system of the United States, not just the financial system. Their entire system there, you know, is going down. And the president has very little opportunity to fix anything. The only thing they have is violence and dropping bombs on everybody. And tariffs. Donald Trump is trying with tariffs. That's not working either. So you're watching the decline of the United States right in front of your eyes when you compare that to what is going on today and tomorrow at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This is really a moment. And I'll tell you what, when I get here down to, like I said, it's very interesting what's going on in this the most Christian country in the world, Armenia. And I was saying things are going to happen, and it looks like it might turn out positive. This is really incredible. So let's see, the National Guard in the United States, I guess since they've been so successful, they're doing gardening, they're doing landscaping duties, cutting the grass and raking leaves right now. Wow. Okay, here we go. Armenia, Pashinyan, the leader of Armenia, the guy that has really been in the news lately. You got to watch. Nobody really knows what he's going. He's like trying to trade in his his friendship with Russia and some of the other countries, and adopt the United States. And he doesn't like Azerbaijan, but he's made that deal with Azerbaijan. It was the signing of this peace between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Wow. And Pashinyan has arrived in China, and he is amazed. He saw China just within a very short time, just within an hour, and he's decided he wants to get very, very, very close to China. You see how Lukashenko really wants to be as close as possible to China. And if you are a smart country, and by the way, this could include the United States, you do not want to be enemies with China. You want to make friends with China. You want to make deals. I think Donald Trump may know that. Maybe that's why he's heading to China. Everybody knows that. You don't make enemies with China. It is really something. India is the same way. And both India and China have just said today they have to work out all of their differences, and they have to come to terms, and they are coming to terms, which is incredible. Pashinyan of Armenia, he is going to get very close as possible to China. And Lukashenko, as I probably already said, he was there like months ago to the same exact place where he is at today, this very day in China. And he said it has advanced incredibly within 6 or 7 months. He said he cannot believe how much they've developed in just that place. And we're talking about the whole city. It's developed astoundingly. The power of China is just daunting. It is absolutely daunting. They can build anything. They can achieve anything. And Lukashenko has basically said the determination of these people is just astounding. And I've told you that I had Chinese people in my classes here in Belarus, and of course Russian is extremely difficult for Chinese. I have to admit that. It's difficult for me too, by the way. But the Chinese have a really difficult time. And you have people, there's one guy, he got his PhD here in Belarus. I don't know if it was in the Russian language. And he was sitting in our class. And his Russian's not that bad, but you can't hardly understand the guy. And there was a Syrian guy, similar, I've already mentioned him. And there was another guy, his name is Wei. And his Russian was worse than mine. And he came to our class, and he has a car dealership, electric cars here in Minsk. He was working at his car dealership, and he was taking Russian classes, and he had a Russian tutor as well, and his Russian was not that bad, and he was grasping some things. It was absolutely incredible. The Chinese are incredible people. The girl who sat next to me, and we were very similar, and she got her master's degree while she is taking Russian classes in economics. I don't know if, I didn't ask her, if her class was in Russian. Her Russian was not any better than mine. It was maybe a little bit worse than mine. But yet, and these people are not necessarily great Russian students in there, because you're running a business and you're taking Russian at the same time. I was just taking Russian, and I was working really hard. I was doing decent, obviously, as good as these Chinese students, but I didn't have a business. I wasn't in classes getting a master's degree in economics and whatever the heck else. The other guy, there's another guy in our class. He's the guy that, this is gonna blow your mind. He got a degree, I don't know if he got his PhD here in Belarus. He doesn't come to our class all the time. His Russian was not that bad. He's been at it for longer than I have, of course. He's been at it for a few years, maybe 2 years longer than myself. But you also have to consider this guy, he has a chain store of businesses here in Minsk. So he's a businessman that has a chain outlets in Minsk. He's getting a PhD, and he's taking Russian classes. And it's like, what the heck do these Chinese people smoke? And this is just to tell you, anybody that is watching this, these Chinese people are absolutely amazing. And I'll never underestimate the Chinese. And Lukashenko says Nobody should. Not the government, not the people or anything. Anyway, I got some little notes here also to talk about here. Okay. Like I said, China's even building, they built a big, huge sports stadium here. I might have even shown that in a video. I don't know. It's huge. I don't know. It's like for soccer games. I think it is for soccer, by the way. And I'll show it one day if I haven't already. And they're building things all over the world. Super highways in Africa. Wow. And anyway, there are protests. So what's going on? What's going on in the West? Big protests. Because all these governments are trying to ship in a whole bunch of migrants. You know what they should? They should be shipping in Chinese. But they're shipping in people from Pakistan and Syria, all these countries that they're bombing, Afghanis, these people that have no future in their own countries. And Soros is bringing them all in. And I don't have anything against these people. I'm not saying that they're worse than the Chinese at all by any chance. But anyway, it's just a different way of doing things. And Al-Qaeda, this is an interesting thing. Did I tell you, I told you about the massive bombings already by Israel in Yemen. And just what a coincidence. You know, what a coincidence. If you guys know that much about Al-Qaeda and ISIS and all that, it's a really strange thing that they have never ever bombed Israel. They don't bomb Israeli targets. They don't bomb Israel, not Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Also very strange that the original definition of ISIS was Israeli Secret Intelligence Services, ISIS. But now ISIS is made a huge comeback in Yemen. Yemen of all places. The ones that were bombing, and they probably killed 2 Israelis ever since they've been bombing. They're trying to actually upset things, and they're trying to coerce Israel to stop treating the people in Gaza so poorly and starving them to death and bombing them. That is their objective. And they said, and they're trying, and of course they're hitting ships, but they're not killing the people in the ships. They're just damaging these ships and trying to discourage shipping of people bringing all this stuff to Israel. And that girl's walked by a few times with the short pants, probably too young, probably Epstein age again. Anyway, but it's strange that they never ever bomb anything, Israeli targets or Israeli embassies or nothing, ever. And it just so happens that Yemen is one of the big enemies now, and Israel just set out we're just beginning, and it's going to be, what is it, something about the firstborn, killing the firstborn and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, Al-Qaeda shows up in Yemen with drones, by the way. Wonder where they're getting these drones. I wonder who is funding these Al-Qaeda. You know, very strange that a lot of these people in Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they speak British English and things like that. But that's just a coincidence, you guys. You know, because they hate Israel and they hate the United States. They just don't ever bomb the United States or Israel for some odd reason. Anyhow, you guys figured that one out. So that's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. You should go to the children's thing. Look for Epstein girls. Just kidding. I got other places to go. But thanks for joining me. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.